Ella had always been the quiet girl, the one who went unnoticed at friends' gatherings. At 32, she carried a baggage of insecurities and low self-esteem that had been with her since her teenage years. Her brown eyes, almost always looking down, rarely met the gaze of others. She dressed discreetly, as if wanting to blend into the crowd. She worked as an analyst in a medium-sized company where her competence was recognized, but her presence was almost imperceptible. During lunches with colleagues, she sat at the end of the table, contributing little to the conversations. Her gentle voice barely made itself heard in the cafeteria's hustle and bustle. Her small and cozy apartment was her sanctuary, decorated with soft tones and filled with plants she cared for lovingly. There, away from the eyes and judgments of others, she allowed herself to be herself. Ryan, on the other hand, was the opposite. At 34, he still lived as if he were in college. Tall, handsome and charismatic, he was the life of the parties. He worked at an advertising agency where his charm and creativity made him stand out. But behind the easy smile and jokes, Ryan carried an immaturity that sometimes even drove some people away. His apartment was a reflection of his personality. Messy, full of memories from parties and trips, but without any hint of commitment or responsibility. The walls were adorned with posters of bands and movies, and the fridge was always stocked with beer for the frequent gatherings with friends. On one of those drunken nights, everything changed. Ryan and his friends were at his apartment, laughing loudly and talking about their love affairs. The alcohol was flowing, leaving everyone more relaxed and less attentive to what they were saying. "Dude, you can get with anyone," said one of the friends, giving Ryan a pat on the back. Ryan laughed, refilling his glass. "Anyone at all? I doubt it." That's when another friend, with a mischievous grin, posed the challenge. "How about that Ella? I bet you can't get with her." The group burst into laughter. They all knew Ella, the quiet girl who hardly spoke when the school friends got together. Ryan, intoxicated by alcohol and his own vanity, accepted the challenge without a second thought. "Bet placed. I give it a month to win Ella over. If I succeed, you guys pay for my holiday trip." The friends exchanged looks, some amused, others slightly uncomfortable, but they all agreed. The bet was sealed, and Ella, unknowingly, had become the target of a cruel game. The following week, Ryan began to put his plan into action. He knew that Ella frequented a cafe near her work, so he coincidentally showed up there at lunchtime. She was sitting alone, fiddling absent-mindedly with her salad while reading a book. Ryan approached with his most charming smile. "Hi, Ella. What a surprise to find you here." She looked up, surprised and a little startled by the sudden attention. "Oh, hi, Ryan. I come here all the time." "Really? What a coincidence. I just started coming here recently. May I sit down?" Ella hesitated for a moment but nodded. Ryan settled in, starting a light conversation about work and the book she was reading. To his surprise, he discovered that Ella was far more interesting than he had imagined. She spoke passionately about literature, and her eyes sparkled when the subject excited her. In the following days, Ryan continued bumping into Ella at the cafe. Little by little, she began to open up, allowing herself to smile more and share her opinions. Ryan, in turn, started to notice small details. How she played with her hair when nervous, the soft sound of her laughter, the intelligence behind her comments. 2 weeks after the bet began, he asked her out to dinner. She accepted, despite the evident insecurity in her eyes. As they already knew each other, it wasn't too complicated. At the restaurant, she seemed uncomfortable, adjusting the dress she almost never wore. "You look beautiful," Ryan said, surprised by the sincerity in his voice. Ella blushed, a small smile appearing on her lips. "Thank you. I don't usually dress up like this." The night passed pleasantly. Ryan found himself genuinely interested in Ella's stories, her dreams and fears. She, in turn, allowed herself to relax, laughing at his jokes and sharing parts of herself that she usually kept hidden. At the end of the night, when he dropped her off at home, there was a moment of hesitation. She looked at him, a mix of hope and fear in her eyes. Ryan felt an urge to kiss her, but something held him back. He settled for a kiss on the cheek, promising to call the next day. The following weeks were an emotional whirlwind for Ella. For the first time in years, she felt seen, appreciated. Ryan took her for walks in the park, to watch movies, and to try new restaurants. He complimented her, made her laugh, and listened to her stories with genuine attention. Ella began to blossom. Her smile, once rare, became more frequent. At work, she started contributing more in meetings, her confidence growing day by day. Her clothes, once so discreet, gained a touch of colour and style. The truth was that she was an incredible woman. She just didn't know it, and he ended up being the one responsible for awakening this in her. Ryan, in turn, found himself in an internal conflict. What had started as a bet was turning into something more. He found himself thinking about Ella during the day, eager to see her again. The messages exchanged between them were full of affection and complicity. He began to feel that perhaps he was going too far and decided that he would talk to his friends to end that senseless bet. He wanted to take her seriously, but for some reason he let it go. Maybe she would never find out, and over time everyone would forget about the agreement. But a month passed, and Ryan's friends demanded the result of the bet. He evaded, saying he needed more time. The truth was that the idea of revealing the bet now filled him with guilt and shame. Then fate decided to intervene. At a barbecue at mutual friend's house, Ryan and Ella were together, exchanging knowing glances and smiles. The alcohol was flowing freely, and one of Ryan's friends, already quite inebriated, approached them. "So, Ryan, did you manage to win the bet? A month to get with Ella, remember?" The silence that followed was deafening. Ella was nearby and heard those cutting words. She looked at Ryan, and a slow understanding filled her eyes. The pain and betrayal were evident on her face, which turned red. Ryan tried to explain, his words tangled. "Ella, it's not what you're thinking. At first it was a bet, but then..." Ella's stomach churned. Was that real? Was it all just a terrible joke? She left without saying a word, and Ryan, desperate, followed her. Before he could explain, she was already grabbing her keys to get into the car. She interrupted him with a calm voice, yet full of emotion. "I thought that, in their 30s, people would be more mature. Thank you for showing me that I deserve much better than this." With those words, she left him behind. In the days that followed, Ella withdrew into herself. The pain of betrayal was almost physical, confirming her worst fears. She was not worthy of true love. She spent nights crying, questioning every moment, every word exchanged with Ryan. But something unexpected happened. Amidst the pain, Ella discovered a strength she never imagined she had. The anger and disappointment became the impetus for transformation. In the end, as cruel as what Ryan did was, it ultimately helped her see her own worth, something she had ignored for far too long. On a Sunday morning, looking at herself in the mirror, Ella made a decision. It was time to value herself. She started with small steps. She enrolled in a gym, something she always wanted to do but never had the courage to pursue. At work, when the opportunity arose to lead a new project, Ella volunteered. To everyone's surprise, including her own, her presentation was brilliant. Her colleagues looked at her with newfound respect, and her boss congratulated her on her initiative. In the evening, instead of hiding at home, Ella began to explore new hobbies. She enrolled in dance classes, something she always thought she wasn't coordinated enough to do. To her surprise, she discovered that she had a natural talent for rhythm. Weeks turned into months, and she started to dress in a way that made her feel confident. Her wardrobe, once filled with neutral tones, gained vibrant colours. She cut her hair in a modern style that framed her face charmingly. In parallel, she started therapy. In weekly sessions, Ella explored her insecurities, learned to establish healthy boundaries, and, most importantly, to love herself. For the first time, she understood that her happiness did not depend on validation from others. Meanwhile, Ryan was drowning in regret. He tried to get in touch several times, leaving voicemails, sending emails. But Ella stood firm in her decision to cut ties. Each attempt at contact was ignored, only reinforcing how much he had ruined everything. Months turned into years. Ella, now, after 2 years, was a completely different woman. Confident, successful, and above all, happy with herself. She had been promoted at her job, led a team, and was respected for her competence and charisma. Your social life flourished. Old friends noticed the change, and new ones entered your life. Ella was now the center of attention at gatherings, not because she sought the spotlight, but due to the positive energy she emanated. Sometime later, in a city cafe, Ella was sitting reading a book when she noticed Ryan entering. Their eyes met briefly, and they exchanged a cordial smile. He saw her from afar, barely recognizing her. Ella radiated confidence, her smile lighting up the room. Ryan felt his heart race, a mix of regret and admiration taking hold of him. Gathering courage, he approached. "Ella, you look incredible." She turned, her eyes meeting his without hesitation. "Hello, Ryan. It's been a while." Ryan stammered, searching for the right words. I wanted to apologize for everything. I was an idiot, and I regret every day what I did." Ella watched him for a moment, her expression serene. "You know, Ryan, you were important in my life, but not for the reason you think. You showed me that I didn't value myself before, and for that, I thank you." Her words caught him by surprise. Ryan felt a pang of hope. "Ella, I really fell in love with you. I know I started everything wrong, but now I know it's too late." Ella smiled. "It's okay, Ryan. I forgave you a long time ago. I've moved on, and you need to do the same." He then said goodbye, knowing that time does not turn back. But there was no longer any hurt or resentment, just the mutual understanding of two people who had grown and gone different ways. Ella turned her attention back to the book, feeling at peace. Her journey of self-discovery and self-love had been long, but every step was worth it. She was living proof that, even in the most painful situations, it is possible to find the strength to transform and grow. Ryan, in turn, ordered a coffee and sat alone, reflecting on how a mistake from the past had led him to a journey of self-improvement. He had learned that true maturity comes not only from successes, but especially from how we deal with our mistakes. Ella and Ryan's story serves as a reminder that self-love and mutual respect are fundamental in any relationship. Sometimes it takes losing something valuable to understand its true worth, and, more importantly, the greatest love story we can live is the one we have with ourselves. If you enjoyed the story, please leave a comment with a rating from 1 to 5 to show how much you liked it. Also, watch the video that is now appearing on your screen. See you soon.